A chance, of course, to see how very gradually the family is changing. This was the year when the family group was notable for the figure who wasn't at the Queen's side, and for a mother-to-be who's preparing to give birth to a baby who will become third in line to the throne. That will happen in the next few weeks. Today, the family's immediate thoughts were with the absent Duke of Edinburgh. This afternoon, the Queen visited him in hospital. So far as we're aware, the Duke continues to make satisfactory progress. Nicholas Witchell, BBC News, Buckingham Palace.
OK, that's all from us now on BBC One. It's time for the news where you are. Bye-bye.
Good evening from Look North. More than 100 people gathered in York today to show their support for the National Railway Museum. The museum's future is under threat, along with that of Bradford's National Media Museum, which this weekend is celebrating its 30th anniversary. Nicola Hudson reports.
Do you want the museum to stay open?
Making their voices heard, young and old alike turned out to show support for York's National Railway Museum.
Hopefully people power will speak, and the more of us that turn out and say we want this to stay open, hopefully the government will listen and we can actually save the museum.
I hope it will show the government that there is a lot of support out there and to find another solution.
It's part of what this city is. It's a railway city. So why should we lose it?
Earlier this month, the Science Museum Group, which runs the National Railway Museum, as well as Bradford's National Media Museum and the Museum of Science and Industry in Manchester, announced that if government funding cuts go ahead, it will close one of the three museums.
It's called this rally to bring people together.
Today's rally is just one part of the campaign to demonstrate to the government how important the museum is to Yorkshire.
For them to consider closing any of these science museum sites would be sacrilege. It mustn't happen.
We can't be in a situation where we're just the north of England, we're ignored by the government because we're not in London, and that is the thing we need to avoid. So we need to be vocal, we need to be loud, and we need to show cross-party support for all those museums across the north of England.
The crowd here today have sent a clear message to the government ahead of this week's debate in Parliament. Whether it's enough to save the museum, only time will tell. Nicola Hudson, BBC Look North in York.
In other news, police in Doncaster have released CCTV footage of a man...
Child abduction in London yesterday has been brought back by detectives to Yorkshire today for questioning. Plain-clothed officers spotted John Bush and a 14-year-old teenager who can't be named for legal reasons at Euston Station yesterday afternoon after a nationwide search. The teenager was last seen at school on Monday. She's now in the care of the local authority. Today, detectives from South Yorkshire Police say they're interviewing John Bush on suspicion of child abduction. Campaigners fighting to save the National Railway Museum staged a rally outside the museum in York today. They fear it could close if major budget cuts are implemented. Chris Kiddie reports.
Now what we have done is called this rally to bring people together.
About 100 people gathered outside the museum for today's rally, all keen to see it stay open.
I've been going to the National Railway Museum since I was about 2, and it's just one of our favourite museums.
This museum is incredibly important to inspiring next generations about the railway industry, about engineering.
The museum, which has attracted 30 million visitors since it opened in 1975, is under threat, along with the National Media Museum in Bradford and the Science Museum in Manchester. It's feared that if further budget cuts are made, one of the three attractions may have to close.
We're doing all we can to be able to keep up the pressure and to explain to the government how important this facility is and how important the facilities are in the Bradford Media Museum and the Science and Technology Museum in Manchester.
I really don't know how I can put into words what we would lose if we lost the museum. I think it's so important to so many people of all generations.
There was a similar demonstration at the National Media Museum last weekend, and there'll be a debate in Parliament on the issue on Wednesday. The future of Bradford and York may become clearer when the government announces its spending plans at the end of June. Chris Kiddie, ITV News.
Now, ITV Stand By Your Man campaign to